All right, thank you for the reminder. I am officially recording it so we can make sure that others who were not able to attend can view this as well. So I know a lot of you. My name is Dawson Blank. I'm the Executive Director at MYAS, and Jeremy Innes, the Associate Director at MYAS, is on as well. You know, we are going through the uncertain times just like you, and we're still not sure what this season is going to consist of, the 2020-2021 campaign. Our hope is that with the additional support that we've received with, you know, MDH and Commissioner Tomes and everything like that, that we've been able to update guidelines, and we're hoping that that along with other things that we're trying to provide to all of you is going to maybe assist you in having maybe some more security for your district or your facility owners where they're willing to allow you to utilize the space. And I know that it's a mixed bag across the board as far as who is able to utilize their facilities, and right now who's still on hold or is uncertain on what's going to happen. So we know this is a very interesting year. We're going to try to move forward like it's going to happen. We're excited about the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance and all of your organizations that are now members of that. We're really trying to ramp up resource, guidance, support, communication, and make sure that you have everything needed and very timely things that we can have available for all of you. So we're going to do mini summits every month. We're going to try to have guest speakers that will be very helpful for all of you and your organizations. And this is going to be a big undertaking for us, but we want to make sure that this is done at a high level. And so you can truly see the value of the MYBA and why it's so important. We're proud to say there's 111 organizations that are now part of the MYBA, and there's very few Twin Cities Metro organizations, and we're just trying to get some of the greater Minnesota associations to buy into it as well. But it's been a great start, and we're very excited. So Jeremy, do you have anything that you'd like to say before we introduce Shane?
You know, I'll just, I know Shane's got a limited amount of time that he can be on this call. So Shane, if you want to kind of get to, I can come back and talk about adding the teams and how that all works and doing the pools and that sort of thing. But we're really excited to be working with Tourney Machine. It's gonna be great this year with all those results transferring right into trusted rankings. To save the coaches from having to go in after the event and put those in. And like you've seen too, our goal with this is to eliminate, obviously this year we weren't going to be able to do the in-person seating meetings, but you know, even some sort of online seating process, this building out trusted rankings with all this data, with all this accurate data is really going to help us when it comes time to seating for the state tournament. We're in the process of getting tournament directors access to their tournament. We've already had, I believe we've got 4 tournaments that are pretty much already built out in Tourney Machine. The process has gone really smooth. The Chaska Boys tournament, both Osseo Maple Grove boys and girls, they're pretty much set to go. And the process worked out really slick for them. We, on our MYS website, on the Tourney Machine page, we're building out some additional kind of tutorials or help guides. The Tourney Machine website has a lot of really good stuff. We're trying to kind of narrow it down a little bit more to stuff that's a little more specific to our members and help you get right to the information that you need. Just like I did with those other tournaments that I mentioned, with your tournament, if you've got a question, shoot me an email or give me a call and we'll walk you through it. The tutorial tonight, the help guides that we've got on our website should also help you a lot, and just how Tourney Machine platform flows from one segment to another should be pretty self-explanatory in there. But I'm here to help, and I will assure that your tournament goes well for you. Shane and Jenna with Tourney Machine have been very, very, very responsive with any questions or little hiccups that we've ran into. So we're very appreciative of that. But with that said, I'll turn it over to Shane. And let's see here. Shane, are you nope, I'll make you a shared owner.
Okay.
And we can get you going.
Cool. So thanks guys for hopping on here. Just a little quick nugget. So I work with both Tourney Machine and Sports Engine. I'm also actually a basketball coach in the Edina travel program, have been for many years. So I'm very familiar with the process by which, all of this, the season takes place, played in, the tournament season, the state tournament, all that stuff. So it's kind of nice, having some familiarity here with, what you guys are doing and as we get this set up. So I want to jump right into it. As Jeremy mentioned, I don't have a ton of time tonight, but I can touch on some of the key points. And Jeremy is very knowledgeable in this platform as well now, as he's, kind of been in there building some stuff out for you guys. So I do want to be able to, so let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm going to share my screen. Hey, Jeremy, give me a thumbs up if you can see that, if my screen is showing. Perfect. All right. So what you guys are looking at here, so this is kind of our Tourney Machine account for the program, the MYAS program. Now, each of you guys will have your event in here for you guys to be able to get access to and manage. And again, Jeremy was mentioning that, we're working on getting you guys access with your events. Obviously, if some of you are doing both the boys and the girls, we can get you access to both, but you would really just need the one account to be able to do so. So with that here, now I'm going to click, we're going to go into Chaska. So once you guys have the proper access to be able to get into your event, you'll be able to click in here to manage that event. And so there's just a couple of pages here that I will walk you guys through that we can take a look at as we're going in. So this is the same. If anybody's ever run their event on Tourney Machine, what you're looking at is the same functionality that you would have had, in the past there. You're just going to work from left to right across this admin bar to be able to set up your tournament. And it should be pretty self-explanatory, I hope. The first page being your general info. Jeremy's already going to have the name of the event in there for you. In this case, we're just using that Chaska event, Chaska Boys Tournament 2020. Your start dates, a couple of important things here, your scheduling increment. So just, how much time you want to give to each slot on your schedule. And then I would just suggest, poke around on here. There's some advanced settings that you guys can click and work through. For the most part, you probably won't use most of these things, but as always, there's a lot of things on Tourney Machine that are kind of some advanced settings and things. So, feel free to poke around. And before I get even any further, we do have, and I'll show you where to access it here in a minute, but really in-depth customer support, tutorials, videos, articles, things like that. So it's not like you guys are going to be kind of lost on your own. If you guys need help at any time, at the end here, I'll show you where we can access that. Skipping ahead here to courts. So for courts, we're just going to be adding in our venues and adding in the courts within those venues. So in this case, this is a good example because we have multiple locations. When you're adding your venue, for example, you're going to be able to obviously put in the information. We can, put in the Google Maps for that. And I can also put in drive time to other events. This will be helpful if I schedule a team at 9 a.m. at Chaska High School, that, to make sure that I don't schedule them at 10:10 at Chanhassen High School. And the system will throw some errors there for you. Within that, then I can go ahead and set up my different courts within, so I can set up availability. In this case, the games are already scheduled here. So you can see this is actually my schedule for those. So these, we'll get to what this means here momentarily. But you can set up time that you can use each of those courts. Once those courts are set up, we're going to go to divisions. Now, for the most part, the divisions are going to be the same. I think Jeremy will probably importing those divisions in, or at least copying them from other tournaments. If not, it's very easy to set those divisions up. The most important thing that I need you guys to take away from this call today, when I get into the divisions, so for example, I'm in boys 5A, and I want to, and you can see here, I guess, let me just show you this quickly. Within each of the divisions, I can set up general information about that division. I can also select which courts I want that division to play on. So if, for example, I have some smaller courts, I don't want my 7th and 8th graders to play on those courts, I can make sure that I, uncheck those in those settings as well. But when it comes time to actually uploading teams and getting those teams into your bracket, we are going to import those teams from Tourney Team. So Jeremy and his team have spent a lot of time importing all of those teams in with the proper naming capability functionality. So what happens is, if you guys start going in and just adding random teams, then what'll happen is we don't have that single instance of that team, and then we can't keep track of the standings for that team across multiple events. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to import from Tourney Team. So you can see here, it's going to ask me to select my season. So now I can select that MYBA 2020-2021. And then what I can do too is I can filter between groups. So we've already got all of our grades set up, both boys and girls. And so if I want to import teams into my event, I can just come here, for example, and say 5th grade boys. So then only my 5th grade boys teams will show. You can see that we have the naming process set up. So Champlain Park B5A, Champlain Park B5B. And what I'm going to do is, all I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to find the team that's entered into my event. Okay, Blaine B5 Navy. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to select the division for which they're registered in my event. Okay, so if I just go ahead and click that, I'm not actually going to save it, obviously, but I can go ahead and I can do all of these at once. And then I can scroll down to the bottom of this division and I can go ahead and import the teams. Now you'll see here, some of those teams are already entered. So, Shakopee B5A is in the boys 5A. Shakopee B5B is in boys 5B. And so what happens is, when you import those teams, when you come back to that division, you'll see that those teams are now are in those divisions for you. Okay, so those teams are now listed here within the division, which now will allow you to do what you need to do. Now from here, obviously each tournament is going to differ. All the teams will need to be assigned to a pool, regardless of whether you're just doing a straight bracket play or a pool play into bracket play. Obviously, if you're doing pool play into bracket play, you can set up 2 different pools or 3 pools or 6 pools or whatever it might be. If you're just doing a straight bracket play, it's just the way the system was built that we still just need to throw all of those teams into the same pool. Okay, so I can click on this assign teams to pool, and I would just drag and drop those teams into that pool to get them where they need to be. But then if I come back, that allows me then to set up my bracket. So within my bracket, there are a bunch of different templates that we have set up already. So I can go ahead and I can select from bracket templates. So if I have an 8-team bracket or a 10-team bracket or whatever it might be, if I click on that, I can see, okay, 8-team, 3-game guarantee. Not all of you guys. This one might be a little different, actually. This one's probably more accurate for you guys. Alternative 3-game guarantee played out to 7th place, right?
Actually, Shane, will you go back to that previous page?
Sure.
And go one more, actually, sorry. And if you click on copy bracket from another division/tournament.
Yep.
And then second one from the top, MYBA bracket templates.
Yep.
This is where with Jenna's help on the Tourney Machine staff, we've built out the common brackets that the vast majority of all the traveling tournaments use during the winter season. So this is where I would recommend finding your brackets, because this is going to be most likely what you're looking for. So go to copy brackets from existing divisions or tournaments, and then you want to click on that, that MYBA bracket template tournament in there to find everything.
Yep, that's a good suggestion there. So the nice thing then is once you set up your template, the one thing you will have to do is within each division, right, is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put team, and then I'm going to select from my teams which team is going to go in there. So in this case, I'm putting Eden Prairie B52. And so I can go ahead and set those teams up in the bracket, hit save, and then we'll get to the scheduling here in a second, but that's how you're doing it. If you're doing a pool play into a bracket play, instead of team, we're going to do like place. So we'll do boy, B5 place. And then I would say, pool A, first place, versus pool B, second place, or things like that. Just make sure, I'm obviously not going to save this, but when you guys are done with the bracket, make sure that you guys are clicking to save your brackets in order to get those to save. The system does allow you to actually customize it. So if I wanted to add a new game somewhere, I could easily do it. These games can actually drag and drop. So for some reason you do have a really quirky bracket, you could always contact us to help you build it out, or you could just take a shot at building it yourself. So I'm obviously not going to save this here, but that's really what you're going to need to do is go into your divisions, make sure you have the division set up, set to the courts that you want to play it on, put those teams into the proper pools. You'll see the teams that you import here. And then you'll have your bracket and can create that. Moving across.
Just a quick question before you move on.
Yep.
So if we have a team that is not part of MYA, like we have the Stars, who is like grandfathered in or whatever, do I just manually add those, or do I need to contact you?
No. So great question. So So what we actually did was a couple things. So in the meantime, while you guys are trying to build that out, when I click to import it, we actually put in a couple of like placeholders that we can use momentarily. So for example, if I go back to where I was, you'll see here, I put in 5th grade placeholder 1, 5th grade placeholder 2. So we do want every instance of every team input in here. We really don't want you creating teams for any purpose. So what in that case, Jeremy, what you would do is reach out to Jeremy and his team and just say, hey, I need you to throw Stars 5, boys 5B on there. But in the meantime, what you could do is you could just put this these placeholder teams. I think we have placeholders, and I think we probably also have, if you scroll down, we threw some like TBD in. Either one of those would work. This could also work when you have, let's just say you're going to try to run an 8-team bracket, but you only have 6 teams registered right now and you want to get started on it. You can go ahead and use those placeholder teams. And then what'll happen is you'll just come back in after the fact, take the teams that really belong in there. So whether that's Jeremy adding those in there for you and just saying, hey, Hannah, Stars are in there, you're good to go. Or you're like, okay, 2 days before the event, we finally got a team to fill that spot. I'm going to throw a Dyna B5 Gold in there. I'll throw them in there. You don't have to delete the other team out of the division. You can just set up your bracket with the 8 teams that you're going to use.
Very good question.
Thank you.
I have a question then. Is this a work in process as you go kind of thing? So as my tournament's not till January, but I'm getting teams registering. I can go in and I can add teams this week, teams next week, and all that. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, you could definitely do that. I mean, I would say if you're not going to start fiddling around with your schedule, then I probably wouldn't. But if you think you want to get in there and start to familiarize yourself with it, also if you want to, if you already know one of your divisions is full, for example, and you want to try to work on that one as like a sample for yourself, that'd be a good way to do it too. So yeah, you could always add to it as you're going along, but I wouldn't do it until you're ready to actually get in there and start doing some stuff with your event.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So this is kind of that last piece, main piece that we'll get into. So the scheduling, right? So there's 2 ways we can do this. So the system will allow you to schedule your own game. So they're like, hey, you know what? you like to do it pen and paper, and you've done it that way forever, and you have your rhyme and reason for why every game is scheduled and every recorded every time, and you want to sit there and drag and drop every game, by all means. What'll happen is the system will create all the games for you. So all of the colors represent different divisions. So boys 5A in this case is red, boys 5B is blue. So it's going to help you visualize your schedule across your different your different events or different locations. What'll happen is if I create an 8-team bracket, that bracket, all those games are all going to post up here. And then I can take those games and drag them and drop them where I want them on the calendar. As I click on games down here, they will throw me errors if for whatever reason a team is playing too close to when they last played. If it's different location and there's not enough time. If you try to schedule the championship game before the semifinal game, for example, these are all going to throw you errors as to why that team can't play. So you can take the games, drag and drop. If you need to unschedule games off here, I can take it, drag it, drop it to this little gray box, and the game will pop off the calendar. I can schedule it based on pools. I can schedule it based on teams. I can schedule it based on divisions. So if I just want to see, a particular division, I can just highlight that division. Same thing if I just want to schedule a particular division's worth of games, I could do so by clicking on the divisions, and it would only show me those up there. More than likely, you guys will probably be using a different version of that, where it's called our batch scheduling. Now, batch scheduling is like an auto scheduler. So my suggestion is probably first give it a go with just letting the system schedule your games for you, and then you can always drag and drop games and move them around after the fact. With that batch scheduler, you will be able to set your increments for your games, time between, and then you can sit here and you can determine what I want the system to do. So I can say I want it to schedule all divisions, both pool and bracket. For those that just have bracket, that's fine, and then all rounds. And I can just say schedule games, or I could say I just want to worry about boys 4A first, or just all my first round games first, and then my second round games. This year will probably be interesting in that maybe in years past you would schedule games, just kind of let it, all at once. This year you might want to do something where you schedule a specific division, round 1, then schedule round 2, then schedule round 3, so that you can get divisions in, divisions out before you get a new group of teams and kids in there. Totally up to you. Play around with it. You can set up how many games they can play in a day, things like that. This is just going to kind of show me my schedule, again broken down by the different colors or the different divisions. It's just going to help you visualize how that event is going to break out. You can see over here on the left for each one of my divisions, I can see how many of that round are scheduled versus unscheduled. So again, I would, you can do it by facility, do it by date. I would try that auto scheduler first. And then what you can do is once you auto schedule with that batch, you can go back into that drag and drop like I was just showing you momentarily before. And now I could always take games and move them around from here. So again, to each their own. You can drag every single, if you're running a small tournament and you have 5 divisions and there's 4 teams in each and you just want to set it up on your own, totally fine, drag and drop. Otherwise, the system can batch schedule those for you. Any questions about that?
I have a question. This is Lisa from Eastridge. In that batch scheduling, is there anything where you can put like a setting to say like, hey, I want 2 back-to-back games, then an hour break, and then their third game?
There are, so you can get into divisions and set criteria. I'm not sure if you can have it auto schedule. So like what I would do is I would actually, if you're going to do it that way, play around with the divisions and then scheduling like round 1 and then round 2. So if you said boys 4A, schedule round 1, those games will show on here, and then say, okay, now once you do boys 4A, schedule round 2, those games will show, and you go, okay, now I need to give them a break. boys 4B round 1, then those games will come across. And then when you're ready to go back, you could do it that way. I don't think there's any way to say back-to-back hour break than that, but I can set criteria. I can say these teams or these divisions can't play at these times. These gyms can't play at these times. So there's a ton of different criteria you can set. I'm not sure what you just said though was one specifically.
And where would you be, like, I think this year for Eastridge, we're gonna attempt to maybe do 1-day format for, I don't know how we're gonna get to the grades, but where would you go in here then to say like, hey, okay, I want the fourth and the fifth graders are gonna be on Saturday and the 6th and 7th are gonna be on Sunday?
Yeah, so you would actually set, that's in the division. So you would set,
Okay.
yeah, so you would set the criteria that like all 4th, 5th, and 7th grade games are on Saturday, all 6th and 8th grade games are on Sunday. Right?
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then you could do that here too by date. So so you could show the schedule by date and do it by date here as well.
As a follow-up to Lisa's question, if you're doing all 3 game, 1-day tournament, 3-game guarantee, and because of COVID, you're trying to get them all in and then get that group out and get the next group in, are you able to say, play all 3 games and we'll have a little longer break? I know you can control that by the time, but can you say each division's playing 3 games in a row?
No, again, you can't dictate like how many games in a row the system schedules you, but you can manually do it that way. So
okay.
If you're going to do a bracket or a pool for a division, you would just say just round 1 of pool play, now schedule round 2 of pool play, now schedule round 3, and then you would just uncheck, you just say, allow back-to-backs.
Okay.
All of these things can be scheduled. Some of these, like, you can't set criteria that specific with the batch scheduler, but you can still do exactly that by just doing it a division or a round or a pool at a time and throwing them on there.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, need to move on here. So just to show you guys, so posting scores, this is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to be able to get in here. You'll be able to get into your divisions. Once those games are scheduled, they're not showing here because this one isn't public, but you'll be able to just publish scores from in this page. The system will allow you to designate certain people that are just score reporters. So, you as a tournament director will have certain access to move schedules and calendars around, and then also post scores, but then you can dictate, okay, these accounts are just going to be the accounts that can get in and post scores. And so we can make sure that those are set up for you as well. So that's pretty self-explanatory. If you're doing pool play in a bracket, once all those pool play scores are in, you do have to click a button that says like, yep, these brackets or these pools look good, advance those teams onto the brackets, but it is just one click. So it's just going to make sure that you double check that before it publishes that. You don't want that publishing and then you saying, oh shoot, we were going to swap these 2 teams or something like that. So you'll be able to get in, you'll be able to view your report. So this reports tab will allow you to see all these things, but then when you get into your divisions as well, if you are doing a pool play into bracket play, you will be able to advance those teams from the pool into the bracket within these different divisions as well. Last thing I'll show you here, and then again, I do have to depart, I apologize, but the help section. So I know Jeremy's going to talk a little more in depth on some of these items, but down here in the bottom right-hand corner is this help button. If you click on it, this pops up our Tourney Machine help. So if there's anything that you're looking to be able to do, can't figure out, and I go ahead and I want to search for schedule, we have a ton of resources here. So it's like, oh, do I want to use the drag and drop? Do I want to use the batch? I can go ahead. We're going to go step by steps, pictures, videos, things like that are going to walk you through all of these things, related articles there, etc. Also, besides we have our tutorials, we have also conversations. So conversations is going to be if you want to connect to a Tourney Machine support representative. So we do have a number of representatives that are available quite often for you guys to be able to kind of do like a live chat. I would ask that you guys kind of keep that to, you know, just you tournament directors. I don't want 10 people from the same association all blasting, you know, our support team if possible. So if you have a number of questions, our people are super responsive, won't get back, but just maybe try to funnel those through you guys. And I will say this too, like, same thing with like the parents, you know, obviously like, you know, all of a sudden we're going to have all these associations that are going to have, you know, all these teams that are showing up. So, you know, if there are specific questions, you know, you as the tournament director, you know, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer those. I would say take a shot maybe at some of these tutorials, but Tourney Machine as a whole is meant to be self-provisioning. So if you know, let's just say one of you guys also runs baseball tournaments in the summer, you can hop on tourneymachine.com, create an account and start running your events without ever even speaking to anybody from Tourney Machine. And that's kind of how we want it to be, is that you guys it can be self-provisioning. So again, you know, if your tournament is later in the year, I would recommend, you know, hop in here, you know, make sure you get your access from Jeremy so that you can get in and get your account and start playing around and start maybe throwing some of these brackets on there, maybe start importing some of these teams, but just sort of familiarize yourself with where certain options are and things like that. But the system, I would say, is pretty simple in that you're really just working left to right. Again, the big thing is when you're importing those teams, we're going to divisions, import from tourney team. I know Jeremy is going to make sure that these resources, you know, some of those specifics are laid out on the, you know, the MYAS site as well for you guys as a resource. But other than that, as long as you guys are importing teams from there, our team can pretty much fix any other error, any other questions, you know, anything that happens, we can pretty much triage it. The only thing that we're not going to be able to fix is if you run your event and you do so with created teams, and then we're going to have to go back, or someone's going to have to go back, probably Jeremy or someone from your association, and replace those teams and redo all the games and redo all the scores and stuff. So that would just be the thing that I stress here the most. Before I depart here, any other questions for me? I know Jeremy again is going to be able to stick around and answer some additional questions. And again, we'll have you know, again, some of these tournaments, I think as early as November 7th here, we're running some events. So you guys will have some, you know, some of the ability to view a lot of the stuff. The Tourney Machine app, if you don't have that, please download the Tourney Machine app. It's awesome. It's what your parents, the nice thing now is that these teams, these parents, these coaches, these players can all download just one app for the entire season, and they're going to be able to track their team across the entire season, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, any other questions that you guys can think of right now?
Just one more question. Do you think it would be wise if, you know, I'm representing Eastview and we're going to have 4 or 5 different locations, just to have like our site coordinator have like an iPad that he can upload the scores? Or, I mean,
yeah. I mean, again, like you guys can have multiple score reporters. And I know, I mean, heck, I know in Edina, we have a ton of locations. So there's games going on all over the city. And so, yeah, there's nothing wrong with, you know, again, we can either set it up where they use the same login and password, or we can set up, you know, score reporter 1, score reporter 2. Yeah, and they can just log in from the iPad, and, you know, as soon as they get that score sheet from the scorekeeper, they can go ahead and input that score. And that's the beauty of this, is that we can get scores updated very quickly for people, because I know as a coach, I'm like, as soon as our game's over, I'm like, who do we play? Where do we play? When do we play? So yeah, if you can get someone at the sites that's just inputting scores, and it's all done on one page, so it's super easy to just go down the list and just throw those scores in.
Is there any kind of communication tool tied to Tourney Machine that we could, what we're thinking is when we're ready for a team to like gather up so we can bring them in?
Yeah.
Is there any kind of communication tool that's part of this or not?
Yeah, there is. The only issue is that we're not right now linking those contacts to the accounts so like Jeremy and his team are creating each instance of each team, but right now we don't have the coach information in there. What they could do is, if you go to the public results page, for example. So this would be like the page that you guys can link out to your websites. Someone can sign up for notifications. So I could sign up to say, yeah, I'm Chanhassen B6, this team, put my message in. That's something maybe Jeremy and I can chat about, maybe some different options, or if the crazy task of maybe putting in contact information, but it's really easy to send messaging to people who are following that team. Especially, they have the app or text messaging. So if someone is connected, it would be super simple using Tourney Machine to send a message to them. Just right now, we're not really sure how that contact information is going to be connected to that.
Correct. With the team accounts that we've dumped into Tourney Machine, they don't have any coach or contact information. Shane, I got a follow-up question for you. I think it was a Centennial B white team that you had clicked on there on that setting up the notifications. Since we're using the same, I guess you could call them team accounts from one tournament to the next, if they sign up for those notifications, say for this Chaska tournament, if they're playing in Eastview's tournament, is that going to follow them to that tournament?
That's a good question. I don't even know the answer to that because I'm not 100% sure on how that's going to work. So because that's separate from like creating, I know if they were in there,
sure,
as that's something Jeremy, I'll track down for you. And here's the other thing too. Whoever, I don't know who asked that question, but if you want to try that out, potentially we could just upload the email and phone number for the teams in your event, which I know maybe a lot of you would be like, well, then we want to do it too. But if there is an event, maybe even a smaller event that we could try that out for, just because, again, we're just putting hundreds of teams into the system. So now trying to track down hundreds of emails and hundreds of phone numbers for those coaches. And then that coach isn't even there that day because the assistant is coaching that day, whatever. It becomes a little difficult. So yeah, if you want to send people to the public results page that will be linked onto your site, it'll show like this until the schedule's published. So right now, it's just showing like committed teams until they publish that event. But yeah, so it's possible within the system. We could maybe figure it out.
Good deal.
Cool. Okay, Jeremy, I'm gonna turn it over to you because I do have to run here. But again, guys, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our support staff. Funnel things through Jeremy. He's been in the system a lot now, and him and I talk pretty regularly. But obviously, we're super invested in making sure that you guys have a really good experience, especially in year one. I would just kind of reiterate, get in there a couple weeks before maybe you think you want to, but to just start familiarizing yourself with it, and don't wait to the last second because that's what some issues could come up. But some of these tournaments that are happening early on in the year, that first weekend, they're already in there, and as Jeremy said, they're looking good. So far so good, and we'll let you know if we need to update you on anything.
Good deal. Thank you very much, Shane.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and the level of communication response time support that we've received from Tourney Machine is a big reason why we decided to partner with them. And Matt Ginsky is on this call right now too. His association used Tourney Machine last year and had a lot of good things to say about it too. So we're definitely feeling good about the partnership there. I will just reiterate what Shane mentioned a couple times. It's very, very, very important not to create teams when you're adding teams to your divisions. Put that placeholder in there, shoot me an email, and I'll get those teams added. What we've done is with all the MYBA member associations, we've instructed them to enter their teams into the MYBA portal. We're taking those and then dumping them into the pool of teams in Tourney Machine. For the associations that haven't joined yet, or a member association that maybe hasn't had their tryouts yet, we haven't got some of those in. Some of them are, maybe not in the MYBA portal, but then we've gone to their association website and been able to pull the teams that way. So ideally, we're going to build out that pool of teams that is ideally 100% full. But there could be that possibility that there is going to be a team here they're missing, and put that placeholder in there, shoot me an email, and we'll get them added. The information like this will be included in the email that I send you when we give you access to your tournament. And when we give you access to your tournament, like Shane mentioned, we're going to set up preload the divisions, preload a lot of the common things in there, as far as, like, if it is a 2-day tournament, if you play 7 o'clock or later on Saturday night, don't schedule that team or division until 10 a.m. on Sunday morning or later, something like that. But with those settings, your tournament's going to come preloaded with a lot of those already. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to set up 2 different accounts for you to get access to your tournament. One is going to be for tournament directors, and this is also included in the email that I send out, and what each role will be able to do. But one role will be tournament directors, and that tournament director can access everything inside the portal there. So make sure, inside the Tourney Machine website. So make sure you're smart about who you give that username and password to. And then also, we're also going to send you an account for score reporting. And you can share that score reporting email or that login information with as many people as you need to. But the only thing they can do once they log in is update scores. So they can't mess around or mess up anything while they're in there. Again, I'll mention the brackets. When you're doing your brackets, I'll share my screen here. So I can give you a visual of what that's going to look like. When you're on your divisions, 5B, for example, if you're looking for a bracket, go to this, copy bracket from another division or tournament. And then you want to click on this MYBA bracket templates. Again, we've got all the common bracket setups built out in there. If there's something you don't see, let me know. I can help build that out. Or if there's something you don't see in there, look back at what Shane went into initially with this preloaded group of templates in there, and you could find it. I will post some instructions on one tricky thing is when you have a pool into a bracket or placing games. So if you have a situation where, your traditional division was 6 teams, you've got 2 pools of 3, and then they come down and play in 3 placing games, pool A 1 versus pool B 1, and so on. So in that situation, we've got to create a pool ahead of time. I'm trying to find, so they're 4B. We created actually they used a different template, but also I'll show you where. So if you come to our website and go onto our Tourney Machine page, look here where it says Tourney Machine. And if you click on that, and we're going to dress this up a little bit too, get some fancy buttons on there. But click on Tourney Machine, and we're going to start loading it with some help guides here of some common, I don't know if issues is the right word, but things that need to be addressed for our tournament directors this far. And here's what I had mentioned with the adding pools to brackets. It'll give you a whole step-by-step process to do it. It's most likely not going to be all 4 of these steps here for you, but the information is listed there. We've got some other instructions about adding teams like I had mentioned, and then this will bring you to the complete Tourney Machine help guide. And you can also access it inside, when you're logged in by clicking on that question mark in there. But this is just kind of a shortcut to it right from our site as well. You'll most likely be in the getting started section, and scheduling is where you're probably going to be the most. But like I said, I've kind of pulled some of the common stuff and have that link directly from our website on our Tourney Machine page. That's my notes here. Does anybody have any questions that you would like answered right now?
Yeah, I got a question. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So you said you will send us the attorney director information.
Yep.
And then, so then we'd have access to our tournament within Tourney Machine at that point.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yep.
because like we don't start, our first one is January, but it'd be nice, we have some of our brackets already filling up, so it'd be nice to kind of go in there and
Nice.
start playing with it sooner. And we're limiting, and then you said you'd also load our divisions, is that correct?
Yeah, so what I've done is I've created a boys template and a girls template. So if it's a girls tournament, I would basically make a copy of this event where I've got some things loaded into. I would change the date, but it would come preloaded with one example is all the divisions, 4th grade through 8th grade, A, B, C. If you don't have a 4th grade C division, you can come into general info and delete it. Or if you need to add a division, you know, maybe if you've got a 6th grade B blue and a 6th grade blue red, or 6th grade B red, you know, you can create those additional divisions.
Okay, yeah, because this year we have really different, because we have to limit how many teams we're bringing in. So we have like our 3rd and 4th grade are never leveled, but they're like, yes, like blue or green or whatever. But a lot of our other ones, especially for the girls, are like A, B, or B, C. So would I be able to adjust that within there then? And like say, take the girls 6A and change it to 6A/B and take the B and change it to BC and then just get rid of C?
Yep, absolutely. So if you want to change a division name, just click on the division.
Yep.
Click on general info and you can do it right from here. You could
Okay,
change
perfect.
that to BC or whatever.
Normally we'll have A, B, C and just about everything, but this year we have to do things a little differently. So
Sure.
thank you.
Understood. You're welcome.
Oh, I should
Yep.
say, so the director email, is that just going to go to our president? Or, because I think I'm listed probably too, both Corey and I are, or will it come to both of us, do you think?
And you're saying the director email to get you set up with,
Yeah.
with the platform?
Yep.
What I've done is I'm working off of the submissions from the tournament index.
Okay.
So
I
it
think-
sounds like in this situation, it'll probably be you that's going to
Yep.
receive the email from us. Yeah, so look for that. If you don't, if you haven't received that email from me yet and you really want to get in there, basically just shoot me an email.
Okay.
That say, hey, I'm with you know, this tournament.
Yep.
And I'd like to get access.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds
Ideally,
good.
we get this information here, you know, your name, all this stuff here, so we can get you set up and ready to go.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeremy, if we have like a girls coordinator and a boys coordinator, we would both be logging in under that same user ID and password then? Or would you set 2 separate ones up if we've got 2 coordinators?
Sure. If it's for the same tournament, are you guys doing both boys and girls on the same weekend?
No, different weekends.
Okay. In that case, then I would set up 2 different accounts, 2 different events, one for the boys tournament, one for the girls tournament. And I would have your boys tournament director attached to the boys tournament and same with the girls.
Okay, perfect.
And like Shane was saying with the scheduling, I'm actually going to get back to a different tournament. I think I know John was asking the question, and somebody else might have brought it up too. But in the scenario where, you know, if you're trying to, you know, I've heard some tournaments this year with COVID related issues and trying to limit cross traffic and get people in the gym and get them out. You know, where there's a lot more back-to-back games being played. And even if it's a 1-game tournament, some tournaments are doing, or excuse me, a 1-day tournament. Some of them are doing all 3 games in a row with maybe a little bit different break. But in that situation, you know, like if you go to the batch scheduler, just to reiterate kind of what Shane was saying, say, you know, based on the number of courts you've got and knowing how many games are going to be played in each division, maybe you know you can get all of 4th grade done right away in the morning session. And what you could do there is just click these 3 divisions, you know, pool games and bracket games if that's the case, and do rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then hit schedule. And that way it would do those games. And then once those games are placed, you can uncheck those, come back and do 5th grade, same thing. Or if it's only 2 rounds, whatever you want to do, and then hit schedule. And you can, once you're in there too, you can play around with the drag and drop, even after games are scheduled. Play around with that a little bit. If you don't, actually, I want to make sure I tell you the right information here. Yeah, it looks like, I know on the batch scheduler, it won't automatically save it unless you click save. I'm not 100% sure on this page. So maybe you have to play around with that a little bit to make sure you don't delete your whole tournament's worth of games. Maybe mess around with a couple divisions at first.
Are you able to like export this batch grid to like Excel from here or no?
If you can, that would be under reports. Let's see here. Let's check division. I would assume there is a way to do that. This is just more of a summary, it looks like. Yeah, that's definitely nice to have for your tournament leaders as well as your officials. Here we go, master schedule grid. Apparently, must be one of the items that require your event to be published. And then right here is where you can find your master schedule grid. And I'm assuming that would be what you're looking for. You could also, looks like this one is just scheduled by court. You can do it by pool or division here. To kind of sort it out through some different reports.
Once you publish it, can you unpublish it?
Yes.
Or once it's published, you can, okay.
Yep.
So back to the person that asked, excuse me, about having 2 different tournament directors for a girls weekend and a boys weekend. So we have 2 different weekends. It's girls and boys, like 3rd through 5th grade in January, and then 6th through 8th in February. Will there be 2 different director logins for each of those tournaments, or will it still be the same login?
I can do it however you want me to. So in this scenario, it sounds like it's going to be the same person or same people operating both events. So in that situation, yeah, it makes sense to put the same person or people attached to both events.
And we can still publish just the one tournament first and then the other one later.
Correct. So in that scenario, you would see similar to my kind of event dashboard view. When you were to log in, you would see the 4th and 5th grade one, and then the 6th through 8th grade tournament.
Okay,
separately.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Jeremy, this is Seth with Egan. Question about, I thought we used to get from the old MYAS service, like a matrix that showed when the like championship games were going on, or the winter games, so we could hand out trophies.
Sure.
Is that something that we can run a report out of this with?
I haven't seen that as of yet, but I know that, so for this example here, this 8-team bracket, there's in each game, I know there's you can identify your championship game with a check mark there. So at least your championship games are going to be identified. I'm not sure, what's going to happen for consolation or 3rd place. I haven't gotten that far with kind of my digging in there. It might be a situation where, and I don't know this for sure, but on that in reports, when you export that grid, maybe since this one is checked, it'll you know, pull this that we've keyed in there. If we check this, maybe it, you know, pull this field. So you could identify whether it's a championship game or a third place game. When you set up your brackets, if I'll try to find that answer out. But maybe when you're setting up your tournament, maybe just try it with one division, see what happens when you identify or click the box for championship, third place, and consolation, and see what that looks like on that grid report.
Okay, where it says drag there with the numbers, is that game numbers?
So this refers to, I could take this and move it.
Oh, got it.
If I want to modify it. You see it pulled this game down here with it as well, because they're both highlighted. All I got to do is click into here and it becomes unhighlighted. And now I can move this game one at a time. While I'm in here, I want to show you what a pool looks like, specifically with that 6 teams. And actually, they didn't do it for this tournament. I do have a help guide set up for this scenario. But yeah, let's check this one. But I'll walk through it right now and just kind of show you. Oh, yeah, not that. All right, so for the Sausalito Maple Grove girls tournament, their 6th grade C division has 6 teams in it. So this is where, this is one of the things that's a little wonky, I guess you could say, within Tourney Machine, is that the pools and brackets don't come automatically attached. You have to create them separately. So in this situation with this 6-team pool, in that preloaded list of bracket templates that we've got loaded in there, you can bring over the 3 placement games, but those pool play games aren't going to come with it. You're going to have to build out your pool play games. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you, once you get in there and start digging around. So what you would have to do, this division's got 6 teams. You want to use that traditional 2 pools of 3. So you come into pools, you would go to add a pool and, you know, type in pool A and hit save. If you want that division only be playing on certain courts or at certain site, you can identify that here. But we've got pool A, we'll save that. Then we'll go back in, add a pool, create pool B. So now we've got our 2 pools. And then what you'd want to do is assign teams to pools. And this already has them matched up, so it's not going to let us do it. But basically, it'll have all 6 teams in a column down the left-hand side, and it'll show pool A and pool B. And you click on one of the teams and drag them into whichever pool you want. So that way you can get 3 teams in each one of your pools. And then when you come into, then you go click on pool games. Like I said, I don't have to remember this step by step. I've got this listed here on our help guide on this page here with adding pools / brackets. That's listed right there for you how to do it. But then we want to generate games. And in this scenario, we want each team playing 2 games in their pool. So we would click on 2 and then generate games. And that way it would set up those pools. And then what you would do, there's the additional step, which is also listed on that help guide, is bringing those 3 games or those teams into your bracket at the bottom. In this scenario, our bracket is the 3 placing games here. And even if you're building your own from scratch, you could hover over add, and one of the options would be a game. We click on game, and we would get this. We could drag it wherever we want, and put it wherever we want. But then what we want to do, so in this scenario, we've got our two pools. In that 16 pool, we bring out pool A first place versus pool B second place. So we've got this drop down here, which is our source, where we want that team coming from. And we want this team coming from pool A, and we want the first place team there. So we've got pool A, B first, pool A, B second, pool A, B third. This part will already come preloaded for you with using those preloaded bracket templates by selecting the 6-team bracket for your 6-team division.
You mentioned that we could play around with it to see if that championship and third place shows up on the grid.
Yeah.
But I thought we can't see the grid unless we publish the tournament.
What I will do is the Osseo Maple Grove and Chaska tournaments, they are going to go live here pretty soon. And once they get up, I'll jump in there and see what happens when I check those boxes. And was that John that was talking there? Okay. John, I'll make sure I get back to you, and I will also post what I find out on this page as well. I'll maybe title it game grid or something to that effect, and identifying championship games on the game grid. And whatever I find out to make that work, I'll make sure I post that here.
Great.
Any other questions? Matt, with Owatonna, are you still on the phone? Or on the call? I'm not sure if you had mentioned that if you were the main person working with Tourney Machine, or if it was somebody else with your association last year. But is there anything off the top of your head to share with the group that might be helpful, or just relaying the experience that you guys had? Actually, looks like Matt might have stepped off. So, Seth and I can't remember the other gentleman's name that brought it up, but hopefully by the time we get additional people access to the platform, there is a little bug right now pertaining to getting access to that preloaded pool of teams. When you click on Tourney Machine, for some reason, some of our users are getting hung up where it's asking them to log in again and not letting them get past that page. But Tourney Machine, like I've been very responsive, and they're working on that bug fix right now for us. So if there's anybody else that has access right now that's running into that, rest assured that that will be fixed here soon. And just I'll mention too, while I got everybody here, our goal is, it'd be great if every association that was running a tournament used Tourney Machine. That's a little pie in the sky, but we're definitely hoping and planning for the vast majority of the associations to use it. And what that's really going to help us out with this year is number one, team identification. And then as I had mentioned, correct data automatically floating from Tourney Machine into Trusted Rankings. And that Trusted Rankings platform, they've got different algorithms that they put together. They can figure out strength of schedule. They can figure out an overall ranking. Obviously, they can calculate win-loss percentage and that sort of thing. But we're really planning on that to be the driving force behind the mechanism for seeding our state tournament this year. Any other questions regarding Tourney Machine?
Hey, Jeremy, it's Ida. Sorry, I did have to join late. Hopefully you didn't cover this. But I know in the past you guys have had the scheduling option. So we've been able to pay for the service that you guys have gone in to do this. And then we've been able to kind of take it from there. Is that service still an option so you can set up the brackets and we take it from there, or is that gone now?
Sure. So yeah, in the past, we offered our scheduling services for $5 per team, where essentially a tournament director would print off a hard copy packet, write out, the answers to every question in there, send that back to us, and then our MYAS staff would schedule out the tournament, and then give that tournament director access to all the brackets. So this year, the main difference is instead of filling out that hard copy packet, scanning it, sending it back to us, you're basically loading that information into the Tourney Machine platform. And if the fee, the per team fee for all of our MYBA member associations is $2 per team. With that comes the support from the Tourney Machine staff, also the support from me. Since we're not going to be scheduling the 70+ tournaments that we did last winter for different associations, my primary role throughout the winter season is going to make sure that everybody's tournament goes well, that they're able to put their brackets together and just helping tournament directors along. So you'll get the access to the platform, support from Tourney Machine, support from me for $2 per team. We are going to start advertising an additional package for additional $3 per team that will essentially send over that same hard copy packet that we did last year. You send us your list of teams and we'll build everything out from start to finish for you. We'll make sure that we get enough information from you so we know how to put the brackets together the way you want us to. But that will be an additional option as well. But I want everybody to rest assured that even if you don't purchase that additional $3 per team package, you're still going to get all the support that you need. Like I said, I'm going to assure that everybody's tournament from the bracketing component goes well. Does that answer your question, Ida?
Yes, thank you.
You got it. All right, we're at 8:17, so just over an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you very much for jumping on this call with us. As we mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we did record it. We're going to get this posted on that Tourney Machine page of our MYS website as well. So if you missed a portion of it and you want to replay it, you're welcome to, or to look back to see maybe a missed part of it. You're definitely welcome to do that as well. But really want to thank you for taking the time to walk through this with us. It should be very helpful for you when it comes time to put your brackets together. But thank you for being a part of the MYBA. It's been great to see the unity shown by all the association leaders this winter with the different Zoom calls and just the connectedness that we've all got. So thank you for joining, and anything comes up this season, whether it's bracket related or we can get you in contact with COVID-19 resources too if you've got an exposure, one of your teams or a confirmed case, things like that. We are here to help you guys and gals, so don't hesitate to ping us. Also, this Sunday, 7 o'clock, we're going to be having another Zoom meeting with Jamie Murphy. I don't know if any of you have been on any of the previous meetings with Jamie Murphy, but he is our go-to guy when it comes to anything COVID-19 related. He's been on a couple other calls, but maybe only 10, 15 minutes at a time, where he's kind of had to rush through some different things. But he's going to be joining us for a full hour this Sunday from 7 to 8. And he's going to answer questions, go through some updates, maybe explain the new decision tree a little bit that came out a few weeks ago. But I would highly recommend sitting in on that one if you're able to make it. We're going to be sending out another email invite. We've also got that. We'll have that information posted on our website as well for that link. But also, if there's anybody else with your association that just because they didn't get the link to these meetings doesn't mean that they can't join. If you're more than welcome to share the meeting invite with, with as many people from your association as you want to. The more people informed, the better. So keep your eyes open for that next Sunday meeting. And then beyond that, we're planning on having at least one meeting per month with kind of the hot topics at that time, or just talking maybe some more open discussion as we get into the season. But hoping that we continue to get good turnouts for those. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Jeremy, can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
How fluid is or flexible is the system? So let's say it's Thursday night before my tournament, the team calls and says they've got COVID and they're not coming to the tournament. Or somebody drops out and I have to replace them with another team. How?
Yeah, so in that situation, you could obviously delete that team out of your tournament, or just plug in a different bracket. If you've got 12 teams in there and it goes to 11 now, you could just select that new bracket and not place that team in one of the games.
Okay.
And then I believe what you would want to do is then use the drag and drop schedule feature to plug those.
So I can be making changes. I can be making changes all along. So I get to.
You can be making changes all along. You could also, if you feel comfortable with it, definitely feel free to reach out to me. But on that, say you've got a 12-team bracket for 6B division, you go down to 11 teams, where I showed you before, where we can add games or move games around on that bracket page. We might be able to remedy the situation right from there. So I'm going to be, I feel pretty comfortable right now with the platform, but as we progress throughout the season, I'm going to get, more and more knowledgeable on it.
So here's a stupid question. I haven't used, Tourney Machine. This would be the first time. So we do all this, we get all the brackets put together. And then what am I sending out to teams? A link that you give me, or what am I sending so that they can have the schedule?
Yep. Do you remember that page that Shane brought up? Let me jump back in there. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, what was the thing? The last thing down on that list, what was that?
What's that?
There was one screen where there was an item way down at the bottom that looked interesting. Maybe reports, I don't know. Under reports. Yeah, what?
Did I pass it?
No, I'm just looking. Go down once. Oh, different topic. What's that basketball score sheets?
So what that'll do is you can print out a score sheet for every one of your games. It'll print them out in order
with the court number and
court, date, and time.
Oh,
and
awesome, because I do all that by hand. So yeah.
Yeah, this will be, you'll love this. It's kind of like when I got my snowblower. It felt like I was cheating almost.
Yeah. All right, so good. So then what was the other, what were we looking up? Oh, how do we notify people?
Yeah, so it might be a situation that once you...
What's that send message?
Send message. Unfortunately, this isn't going to work because we don't have any contact information.
Okay.
Attached to the team.
So I would send a link out to Tourney Machine or to the app or something.
Oh, right? Here we go. Yep. So,
oh yeah.
So there is a way to, fancy way to iframe or screen share, whatever, to basically copy and paste this right onto your site.
Oh, okay.
And then you could just send the link, you know, to your page of your website, you
Yep.
know, to all your association leaders. Or at a minimum, you know, you could send out on your tournament page a click here for brackets, and
Yeah.
it would bring them to this page
Okay.
on the Tourney Machine website.
And then they have to download the app in order then to get the results and all that.
They could view this tournament doesn't have any brackets, or the brackets haven't been made public.
Yep.
But if they were, people could click on the schedule button from here.
Oh, okay. So it's
they could either go to your website to view the brackets or through the app.
okay. Got it. All right, super. So now, how do I make the decision to do this? I mean, what's the next step? Do I have to pay something? Do I have to tell you something? How do I get the link and all that?
Sure. So by being a MYBA member,
Yep.
you guys automatically get access to this platform. Shoot me an email, include in there your tournament date, and I will get your tournament set up. And then what I have to go do is create a couple of user accounts, one for the tournament director, one for score reporting. And then I will shoot you an email with some instructions and with the login information for each of those roles. And then you can start building things out.
And when are you charging me? Once we know how many teams or what?
And then it's $2 per team.
Yeah.
And you'll get an invoice directly from Tourney Machine for that. So it's $2 per team. I will give you more than enough support that you need. You're knowledgeable enough. If I were you, I wouldn't even consider that additional $3 package that I had mentioned.
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so it's just the $2 per team is what it cost you. That's for everything. That's for getting in there, using the platform, being able to post the links to the schedules, getting your tournament to appear on the app for people to use. There's nothing you need to do to activate the app. Once you make your tournament, once you publish your tournament, it'll automatically appear on the app for people to find.
All right, super. Last thing, when you had that list of tournaments up, are the ones that you already did or set up?
Yeah. Whoops.
You got a Lakeville South girls in November. That's Lakeville North.
Let's see here. Okay, I'll jump. Oh no, I might be able to get to it.
It was where you had all your different
Yeah.
pre-built stuff or whatever. Where you're clicking on the different tournaments that were set up, templates or whatever.
Sure. I'm gonna go in and stop sharing my screen, but I'll make sure I get that
Yeah, that's okay.
get that fixed for you.
All right, super. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good deal. Thanks, John. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye.